Why are you like this? Why? No, don't blink. That's so much worse. Everybody smell that? It's a brand new reptile room tour and also coffee. It is a brand new month, relatively festive coffee mug here as well. I want to welcome you all to the reptile room tour for December 2022, the last reptile room of the year. We have a long episode, so make sure you grab your favorite beverage, whether it's a coffee, water, beer, whatever. This is probably a Friday or Saturday when you're watching it, so you can do whatever you please. With the about 100 animals or so that we're at now, because if you've watched other months, we sell a lot of babies and it dwindles our numbers, so it makes sense. But truthfully with that, we need to talk about the responsibility of keeping so many pets. And I would like to point you guys to my last YouTube video, which you can check in one of these two corners here. In that video, I essentially go over how much work it actually takes on just one given day. I'm honestly not here to promote a ton of reptiles in one home. So with that being said, I think it's time to start on the wall behind us and show you guys what all is cooking in the reptile room. And yeah, just before we do all that, I do want to say that there will be some feeding throughout the videos. If you guys want to see me feed the Tachydermus dorsalis, if you guys want to watch me feed the baby Smaragdinus right behind me, and we're also going to feed some frogs. Hopefully they come out and want some food. Make sure you check the little tabs down here. It'll show every individual animal. If you want to skip over something or go back to something after you've already watched it once, you can do so. Now, just while I have my coffee in my hand here, I'll take you guys over a quick preview of the room and show you exactly what's coming up. So we have 3 of these 6-foot racks. We have a bunch of tanks on each. The room goes in a circle. We also have this large kind of display-like tank and the Ratsnake up there. We have our baby rack and our grow-outs right under it. Behind the baby rack, we also have 3 4x2x2s stacked on top of each other, and you guys will see what are all in those. And then finally, we have this rack as well. I do want to promote the Meet All My Pets video that will be coming out later this month. If you don't see the in-depth kind of details of the animals in here, that will be the video you guys want to check out. There's also a whole nother room that we've never shown you guys. So there's a whole bunch of animals that you guys have never seen. Enough of my complete buffoonery. I guess we'll start down here because the Ackie is of course not out. I'm excited to show you guys him, give you a bit more detail as to what he is, who he's all about. His name's Vulcan. He is a yellow Ackie. I'm not going to waste too much time talking about him because of that Meet My Pets video. I'm not going to keep repeating that throughout the entire video, but just know that if you do not see them in this video, they will be in that video. In here we have Indy in his kind of sprucened up enclosure. This is Breeze, Northern Blue-tongued Skink, Taliqua skinkoides intermedia, in a 4x2x2, naturalistically set up. Unfortunately, there was a few plants in here that did not survive. The only reason is because we didn't water them. This is a wood tank, so we didn't want to saturate it with a whole bunch of water, and as a result, unfortunately, it led to the demise of the few plants that were in here, except for that ponytail palm at the back. That actually is a living plant. Come say hi. It's like never. This goober right here is Indy, the Northern Blue-tongued Skink. And yeah, I can't wait to have Bree talk about all of her animals because truthfully, I don't know all their stories and where they came from and stuff, so it'll be interesting to share with you guys. Up here though is my Uromastyx Jeri. That's Hugo right there. And Olga is not right there. Uromastyx are truly an incredible species of lizard. They are one of my favorites, honestly. Super personable. These guys are unfortunately wild caught. When I got them like 4 or 5 years ago, there was even less breeders of Uromastyx in Canada. They're still hard to find even now. Hopefully we'll be producing some babies this year. No guarantees, but we can always try our best and see what happens. These guys are kind of going into like a winter cool. By that, I mostly just mean that I reduced their light cycle down to like 6 hours a day, sometimes even less when it's in the full heat of the winter cool down. That has already started. Currently, their lights are turning on at 11 a.m. and going off at 9 p.m. The days are getting shorter. As you can see, They're not quite eating as much. Normally that dish would be cleared like that, and we wouldn't have to worry about any extra leftover food, but they're starting to leave some behind. Now that we've covered this rack here, we can move on to the large 12 by 18 display, essentially. First off, we'll start down here with some of the prized jewels. I don't think I got to show you guys these last episode because I hadn't announced them yet. Down there we have Oophaga, histrionica, fuego. These guys are one of my dream frogs. And again, if you haven't seen the video, I'll link it up top in the cards right now and in the description down below. I was able to get my hands on 3 of them from Colombia. So, you know, pretty cool. We're actually going to feed them right now. So I have 2 there. And I also have 1 more over here. We're just gonna start with this one here, trying not to scare her. She's the probable female. So it's really important that she decides to eat. And as you can see, she very happily is. So that is fantastic. What she's standing on is actually a banana chip that I put in there, and it's supposed to bring the fruit flies to it, but truthfully, it's not doing a very good job of that. There we go. These guys are very happy just eating kind of secretively. It's also getting kind of late, so I understand their urge not to come out. Now that I've shown you the jewels from Colombia, we can move on to the jewel from Croatia. This is Sheldon. Sheldon is my beautiful Hermanns tortoise. If you guys didn't catch the last reptile room tour, make sure you go watch it. At least go check out the Sheldon part. It got pretty real. Thankfully, for those of you that have watched it, he is doing much better. As you can see, he's out bumbling around, eating scraps of lettuce. He's looking much healthier. He's less pale. He's just looking much, much better. I am still working on getting this bin replaced. Basically, if you guys don't know, he will be having the entire bottom shelf of this rack, and then hopefully someday have an outdoor pen. Unfortunately, because we live with Bree's parents, it's not always an option, and it won't be for a little while. Maybe I'll build a temporary pen that I can move in and out, and he can just be in and outdoors in the same bin. That would be sweet. Oh, I can breathe easily because that really does scare me. I hate when my animals are not feeling well, and I'm happy because I caught it. If you guys don't know tortoises very well, they tend to hide stuff much better than even other reptiles. They're typically fine until they're not, and I'm glad that I know Shellman well enough that I could tell when something wasn't right. Glad you're doing good, buddy, and we can move on from you to here. We have the female Strophurus wellingtonae. We did end up selling our other pair, like I mentioned in my last video, but she is still here, and if we can't find her a mate or she doesn't sell, we will just keep her as a pet until we can find a male. If you guys didn't know, Strophurus actually went on to CITES, so it's going to be much more challenging to find a male, but not impossible. And I truly hope that some of the importers from Europe figure out how to do the CITES 3 as soon as they can. That is the female Strophurus wellingtonae. Aw. Hi. And hi. They're waiting to be fed, and they will get fed very shortly here. In these 3 enclosures here, we actually just redid them. I completely sanitized them with a veterinary grade disinfectant, otherwise known as F10, for those of you that know, you know. It was definitely a enjoyable time. We basically took apart their entire enclosures. We added a drainage layer, some fresh substrate, and rebuilt the tanks. So a couple of them, the plants look kind of sad. That's because they were just transplanted in here. So, I mean, I expect it to take several weeks before they actually start to perk up. Fingers crossed they don't get trampled and die. In here, we still have Lark. This was one of our very first Chahoua we ever produced here at Alpha Reptile or the Jungle Vault. If you guys don't know, the Jungle Vault is Bree and I's reptile company. We sell tanks, we sell Chahoua, we sell Hognoses, we sell a whole bunch of stuff. I'll leave the link to our website in the description down below. That's a mega tangent from where I'm trying to go with this. This is Lark. Lark is a gorgeous PI Chahoua. I'll just say it now, all the Chahoua we have are PI Chahoua. There are no mainlands here, even though they're probably the same thing, but I will not go into that right now. Lark is a beautiful, beautiful white collar. And like I said, one of our first babies we ever produced. And here's Jigsaw, and Jigsaw is, of course, nowhere to be found. So, unfortunately, you guys will have to wait for later on this month. In here, we have Wallflower, which was the Chahoua from Sundown Reptiles that we ended up winning in auction. And was out earlier, but I do not see her anymore. So, yeah, unfortunately, we will not see her in this video. Trying to speed up the reptile room tour. I'm hoping not to make this an entire hour long because I know that Meet My Pets video is going to be insanely long. Up here, we have a pair of Occidentalis, or Chameleon Geckos. The Urodactylodes viardi and the Urodactylodes occidentalis are pretty similar, but also to a trained eye have quite major differences. One of those differences being the scalation is much different on the occidentalis. Much larger scales, especially on top of the head, when compared to the viardi. She's obviously like twice the size of this one. That's why her head looks much bigger, because it is. These guys are, again, one of the most fantastic beginner lizards that you can ever dream of. They're like a crested gecko, but don't really jump, and are out all the time, not hiding like you'll see later in the video. Truthfully, these guys are fantastic. If you guys are interested in these, we are actually deciding to sell the breeding pair of Occidentalis and the breeding trio of viardi. We're doing so to make space for some of the other projects in the room. We will be keeping the Urodactylodes symmetricus, which I haven't really shown on the channel just yet, and I will not really be showing in this video. But yeah, these guys are available, so if you want to shoot me a message on Instagram, send us an email, whatever, we'll get to you. Shipping to the US is possible, but in springtime. Now, over here in this 12 by 18, and she already knows I'm coming over, is my female Tachydromus dorsalis. She is an absolute sweetheart. If you have any name suggestions for her, let me know in the comments down below. Why don't we feed her right now, as well as all the rest of the Tachydromus, because I have some fruit flies that need to be fed off. And because the fruit flies are already in the container, what we're actually going to do is feed the Tachydromus smaragdinus first. These are the herd of little baby compies that I have acquired, or I have bred and raised. Hey! No. Yep, thank you. They're truly little compies. They're just waiting for some food, so let's toss some food in there for them, and we'll watch them go crazy. Watch their tails. I will be making a care video probably later this month for these guys. They are truly one of the coolest lizards out there, one of the most underrated, and when you really dig into the research, they are just fascinating. Tachydromus are one of the largest latitudinal ranges of any genus. They range from like Russia all the way down to places in Indonesia, which, if you don't know, that's essentially the very North Pole all the way down to the equator. So quite an incredible range on these guys. I'll talk about them more in the care video. You guys get to watch them eat for a little bit. I believe that is Mr. Wigglesworth. I haven't noticed him kind of bumping around very much, so I think maybe he might have grown out of the kind of Wigglesworth nature of it. Anyway, that does it for the Tachydromus. Aha! I knew you'd come out later in the day. You always come out. But you already have your food, so we're not going to bother trying to feed you. It's these guys that I'm trying to feed. These are the Amereega basleri sisa, or the Amereega basleri. They're basically a beautiful kind of blue and black poison frog. These guys are available. I'm not sure if anybody's gonna like bound around to the front or actually be visible. There he is, chilling in the background, lurking like a creeper. There we go. You guys can see some of the details now. They are truly a beautiful frog. And unfortunately, they're not very common in the hobby. So if you guys are interested and you're in Canada, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to provide them to somebody who will provide a great home for them. All right, now we got a clear cup. Let's fill it with crickets and go feed the beautiful unnamed Tachydermis. She is super sociable. Come here, come on. Come on. Here we go. This is like a regular thing for her. And I can even start to take her out without any food, and she'll come and hang out on my shoulder while I walk around the room. She's getting super, super tame. Now, some of you guys might be asking, why is she in this enclosure? And that is a pretty simple answer. She will not be staying in here. I will be upgrading her. I know this is way too small for her. It was the only spot that we had at very short notice because she ended up getting bitten pretty bad by the male. I can share a picture on Instagram again and show you guys the errors of what happens when a male bites a female. Not very impressed. Unfortunately, I did hear from the original owner of these guys, who was in the US, that he has done that before. So I will be setting her up in a much larger enclosure all by herself, and I will introduce them for breeding sessions. She is just such a sweetheart, and like I said, I do need a name for her, so if you have any name suggestions, please do put them down below. Ew, that popped. That was nasty. Okay, now you're done with that. Let's put you back. She's not getting a super huge feeding today. It's just a small one for you guys. And I guess while we're over here, we might as well feed the babies. I think I should have a few crickets that are good enough for them, but the babies are equally as personable as the adults, which is kind of surprising to me, to be totally honest. See, look at them. They're like sitting here at the front glass. They're like, what are you feeding us? I fed you guys yesterday, but here. Yummy. There we go. Just totally chowing down. That was a pretty big cricket for the size they currently are. But they handle it like champs. And this feeding right here is really only just a tease for what you guys will see later in the month. I do plan to do a full feeding all of my pets video to show off all of the feeding techniques that we do and all the cute little critters that come along with it. So now they are also in a 12 by 12 by 18 with a massive Ficus benjamina at the back there. They're doing absolutely fantastic. I love having them around in the room, and they are available, but just be warned, they're not super cheap. And I was also planning to feed Turok, who I've decided to name my male Tachydermis smaragdinus, or the Sakashima grass lizard. And I don't know if you guys can see, there he is. He is just chilling back there. So unfortunately, we're not gonna see him eating today. I'm not gonna really update you guys when I swing past here, just because you've already now seen him. He's doing fine after, you know, chewing the crap out of the female's leg. She truthfully didn't retaliate, and I guess one of the beautiful gems of this enclosure is the wonderful mandevilla vine, which flowers and just produces some really cool foliage. It's a win-win. Beautiful lizard, beautiful enclosure, and I'll be doing an update or a review on the Leap Habitats enclosure later on this month as well. And now that I've truthfully showed off most of this wall while feeding, we do have a couple little stragglers here. These are the Mourning Geckos, mostly Hawaiian type in here. If you guys don't know, Hawaiian type, when they're not stressed out in a deli cup, are actually pretty similar coloration to normal Mourning Geckos. There's a whole bunch of babies that just hatched in this enclosure. That's the chin of a Mourning Gecko. So they like to hang out on the very tops of the doors. Very fun lizard to keep. The Mourning Geckos are pretty much a staple. I love them. They're great for dart frog enclosures. They pretty much live under all conditions, hence why they're so invasive in the wild. These guys, we recently kind of replanted their tank, so it is starting to grow in now. It looked pretty empty at the very beginning, but thankfully, plants grow. And just like plants growing, I had to chop them out of this enclosure. I still need to chop out a bunch more, but we do have a couple more enclosures that we need to build, so I'll be using those vines for it. This enclosure right here will be the new setup for this little beauty. Oh, hi, you're already there. There we go. She's like, no. slowly retreats into the blackness. But yes, so this is a beautiful Thai forest gecko. Ceratodactylus peguensis zebrachus is their full scientific name. These guys are truly a gecko that you almost never see in the hobby, or at least like posted on YouTube. There are a few breeders of them in Canada. I'm sure there's quite a few in the States as well, but they truly don't get the hype that they deserve. They are a gorgeous gecko, and they actually sing at nighttime. She's a female, so she doesn't have the best vocal cords on her, but males, whew, they produce quite the song. And yes, like I said, we will be setting up this enclosure for her, and we will be probably getting a male as well, because we can truly show you how epic they are and how they deserve more recognition in the hobby. We do have like a little setup here, desk. This is where we do most of the cleaning and whatnot. And keeping you guys on your feet, we're not going with the rack behind this. We're actually going to start talking about the Ratsnake tank. Now, there is kind of a sad story, unfortunately, to go with this. Last reptile room tour, you guys saw me talking about the hospital tank, or kind of the recovery bin for the male Ratsnake. And unfortunately, shortly after that video, he ended up passing away. We did get him necropsied by the vet. Thankfully, it was found that it was not our fault, which is great news when you're a reptile keeper. Unfortunately, it was actually a series of abscesses in his GI tract that ultimately led to him not eating and led to his demise. Bree was absolutely crushed. And truthfully, whenever it comes up, she still is. These are the Borneo locality of red-tailed rat snake, so not all of you guys might know what the Borneo locality is, but you'll see some footage right now of them, and they are gorgeous. They truly do have my heart as well. Unfortunately, they are very rare, especially in Canada, and of course, the main breeder that we actually picked these guys captive bred from is in Russia. So yeah, not gonna dig into that statement any more than that. Fortunately, the female is doing very well. She just ate a massive quail, so she's not out right now, hence why I'm your entertainment. The plan still is to make a massive enclosure for them and hopefully find a male either locally or do a breeding loan or something like that in the future. Until that time, she'll just be able to enjoy the massive 4x2x4 enclosure that we have for her. She still really isn't even nearly fully grown yet, so she's got a lot of growing to do, and will fill out this enclosure very nicely on her own. I will be making a video showing the build process of the entire thing. Unfortunately, not the wood part, because our good friends Hammer Habitats ended up making it for us, so thank you very much. He's not sponsored, we paid for it. Chill. That concludes the Ratsnake portion, the sad truth, and a little bit of an update for you guys. So, and unfortunately, there hasn't been a whole lot of work done in the tank the last month. Bree's been super sick. We've been busy. We've been vending expos, working full time, the huge. Again, I'll point you to that video linked in the description of the day in the life, and you guys can see just how much any given day has in store for us. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. Let me know if there's anything you guys would want to see done in this. Now, I share this in every single episode, and this is the 24x18x36 vivarium that I purchased from a subscriber of mine. I have no idea if he still watches. The tank is doing fine. Like I've mentioned in every single reptile room tour since I brought it home, it will be getting taken down. I plan for this enclosure to be the final setup for the Crusiohylochraspidopus, which are just over here, and I guess I can just give you guys an update on them while we're over here. Their tank is looking pretty slick. I did just end up going through and cleaning their water area about 3-4 days ago. The frogs themselves are doing great. Apparently we have all males, or we might have all males. This one looks suspiciously female to me. I don't know. I know females and males both can vocalize to some degree, so we'll see what the future brings. We'll have to throw them in a rain chamber and just see what happens. There's currently 4 of them in here. We have 2 subadults, I suppose. That one there and that one. And then we have 2 adults that are 3.5, 4 years old. This is the Exoterra Frogs & Co. that I set up. I do have a video of that on the channel if you guys are interested in seeing kind of the setup process. It has changed a ton since that video. Honestly, so much has changed in this enclosure, and can't really tell if it's for the better or worse, but it has changed. And keeping up the Crusiohyla theme, we have the froglets that we raised from tadpoles. These guys are all doing great. They are eating, pounding crickets. They're cool little guys. I can't wait to get them out of these kind of sterile tubs. Unfortunately, this seems to be truthfully the best way to raise them. If you ask anybody else who has bought them from this individual seller that is no longer around ever, they all ended up passing away. Even another YouTuber here had a bunch pass away. I just swallowed a gnat. My bad, guys. These froglets are doing fine. And let's move on to the Oophaga pumilio bastimentos. These are the gold dust. Look how gorgeous that frog is. And as I mentioned earlier, I will be getting a male this weekend. I'm literally going to pay for it right after I'm done filming this video and have it arranged to be delivered then. I am so excited. These guys are one of my dream frogs. And again, I finally have made that dream come a reality. Don't let your dreams be dreams, kid. There is another female, or maybe you're a male, but you've just never called ever, in the enclosure, and it's doing pretty well. As you guys can see, there's a gorgeous flower. I don't know what species this is. Maybe I should take some photos and try and ID it while it's in full flower, because that would be a useful thing to know. Their tank is doing great. The growth medium in here, the only substrate I have in this enclosure, is the Exoterra substratum. It's doing fantastic. The plants are growing well. As you can see, this Brom has 1 pup, 2 pup. I think there's a 3rd pup in there as well. All the plants are growing gangbusters. The moss is just mossicular. That's not a word. The moss is doing fantastic, growing exactly how I was hoping it would. And yeah, it makes me super happy. Thankfully, the opportunity with these guys is because they're not breeding, I don't have to keep them in this enclosure. I do have some slightly larger enclosures that I'm going to move them into. I just have to get those all set up. They're custom builds by me, and I'm very curious to see how they do for these guys. But yes, that is the Oophaga pumilio bastimentos, one of the coolest pumilio out there. I guess from there, we can just naturally move down here. In here is this beautiful thing right here, Oreocryptophis porphyraceus coxi, otherwise known as the Thai bamboo rat snake. A fluorescent red rat snake that you typically don't see all that often. We'll definitely be getting Cardinal out for the Meet All My Pets video. Right now, you guys can just kind of see that she is absolutely a stunning critter, and one of the very cool members of the room. I've convinced Bree not to sell her like 3 individual times because she's just so cool. I think this terrarium really blends in with the rest of the room. What more could you ask for, honestly? We've already covered these little gremlins here. These are the baby Tachydrama smaragdinus. I'll show you the adults very shortly here. Up here, we have a Canadian first, a gorgeous little Shovelnose Snake. This is a baby captive bred here in the Jungle Vault. None of the sand snakes or Shovelnose snakes or any of this genus, Sonora, has been produced in Canada before. Very cool achievement. And this individual is, we get messages about it all the time being like, oh, when can we buy it? When can we buy it? Never. This one is ours. We'll be keeping it forever. These guys are insectivores, so they only eat insects. In the wild, they'll actually eat a lot of scorpions and such, so maybe a cool idea for a feeding video later on in the future. A truly remarkable species that we currently keep up here. I'm currently working out a deal to turn this into a condo for all of the different Sonora that we have. We have 5, including that baby one. So, yeah. Very cool possibilities in the future. We gotta find places to move everything that's on here, and up there is another Canadian first that we'll get to later on. I am entirely aware that I've just been bouncing around everywhere in this video, but I'm keeping everybody on their toes, and I'm currently on my toes because the Savu is a little crazy. We have the top actually covered in just a standard, basically food, like cling wrap. And he loves to hang out up there. He doesn't get stuck. He can easily get his way out, so it's not something I'm super concerned about, but oh man, look at him. This is Pixel. I think that's what I'm going with, is Pixel. I believe their common name is the white-eyed python for obvious reasons. I mean, it's tough to argue with that gorgeous white eye, kind of a smoky red, orange color, and they slowly fade more brown as they age, but he's staying fairly red as of right now. This is a Liasis savuensis, produced by my good friend Cody Joe, who actually has a YouTube channel now, so if you guys are interested, I'll leave his YouTube channel in the description down below. Go blow his video up and show him some love. Let him know that Mike Titula sent you. Hope you guys are enjoying whatever beverage you picked at the beginning of the video. We're probably about halfway-ish. We still have the rack there who's going into brumation. I don't know if we'll be making a video about that, but let me know if we should make a video about that. We also have the rack over there with that big Exoterra, and we have the baby rack here. So we still got a ways to go. Buckle up. Starting up high over here, we have the Shoulder Buster 9000, otherwise known as me trying to film the Chahoua whilst they're all the way up, way above my comfortable holding level. These guys are basically a breeding loan type scenario. We get the female and one baby, and the original owner gets the male and the other baby. So yeah, they're of course not out right now, but again, one of those animals that you'll see later in the Meet My Pets video. That tank is empty because the inhabitant is down here at a much more comfortable filming angle. Of course, it is not out, but it is a lily white crested gecko. Oh, wow. Now, what could we be doing with a Chahoua in with a crested gecko? Who knows? This is Rune. Rune is a gorgeous Chahoua, and produced by our friend at the Reptile Edge, Jeffrey. Great guy. Produces some great animals. In this tank over here, we have Blobby and Dobby. These are the beautiful Agelaicnus dacnycolor, or the Mexican giant tree frog. These guys have a ton of different names. They've changed genuses more than there is ball python morphs. The female is actually still kind of recovering over here. This is Gumby. Gumby, she is doing fantastic. She's finally recovered, and we're just waiting a little bit longer to make sure she's fully eating, pooping, you know, being a normal frog before we move her in with the males, just because we don't want any issues. These guys are extremely rare in Canada, so trying to keep them satisfied. From Robbie and Chobby, we move to the gorgeous Tachydromus margdinus, the green grass lizard, the emerald grass lizard, whatever you want to call them, the green racer, I think even some countries call them. Yeah, to me, they're Tachydromus margdinus. That is the male. They are sexually dichromatic, which is a form of sexual dimorphism, which basically means that the male is a different color than the females. So you can see him. He's got the kind of brown stripes on his lateral line there. And the female is all a bright green coloration. Absolutely gorgeous species. Again, I'll be making a care video on these guys and kind of highlighting just how epic they really are. If you guys are interested in them, I do have all those babies for sale, and I do have a video series on these guys called the Emerald Dragons. Kind of hard to argue with them. They are truly one of the coolest lizards around. Now that we've covered the Tachydromus margdinus, we can move down here. These guys are the beautiful beaded geckos. They are an Australian species of gecko, and they are one of the most personable in the entire room. As you guys can see, they're just always out and about, running around, checking things out, being super active. They are currently being cooled a little bit. We really hope to produce them this year. I don't really know what else to say about them. They're just so charismatic. You walk in the room and they look like they've died because of the way they sleep. Basically just like erect bodies all over the tank. Obviously we're pretty used to it, but truthfully, it can be concerning at times where you walk in, you're like, oh no! And you walk by the tank and then they start chasing you like they just are right now. Scientific name is Leucasium damium, and they are truly one of the most badass reptiles that we have in the room. Some more of the most badass reptiles we have in the room are... Why are you like this? You're very picturesque right now. Why are you like this? Why? No, don't blink. That's so much worse. Okay, so these guys, if you don't know, are the Geomytis spangleri, or the black-breasted leaf turtles. This is the female over here that you guys have just been staring at with her head massively popped out and staring, looking for food. And the male is right next to her. Unfortunately, their tanks are looking kind of depleted, but it is come winter time, and they do tend to destroy all the plants that you put in there because they basically just walk over top of them and make like little pinholes. They just tatter them up. It's really annoying, but you know what? They're very much worth it. These guys are truly some of the biggest characters in the reptile room. I say that, I guess, about most of the animals, but objectively, when these guys are super active, which isn't right now because they are being kind of cooled down, they really, truly are some of the biggest goofballs in the reptile world. They are savage hunters. They'll pretty much eat anything you put in there. Crickets, worms, pellets, cranberries, shrimp, like anything they'll consume. They are just rowdy little characters. And I really, really hope that this winter cooldown does well for them. And, well, did you just snap back to reality? Because this will make a very cool project to share with you guys. And it's also one of my goals is to produce these because they're truthfully non-existent in Canada. There's a couple breeders and, of course, Mr. Reptiliatus or Dion who has them. We need to produce some more. But enough blabbering about them. These guys are very cute, very adorable, and very much troublemakers, as you guys could tell. Stop. Why? Why do you do this? Like, who gave you guys business of being this silly? It's cool to see the difference between the female eye color and the male's eye color. Very, very different. And one of the telling characteristics of the two. Now that we have come from the beautiful Geomytis spangleri, we can talk about the very rare Boega nigriceps, or the black-headed cat snake. Calamity resides in this enclosure. Bree ended up also redoing her enclosure this past weekend when we did all of the Chahoua remodels. We also did a remodel of her enclosure. Bree and I both think that she's actually building more eggs. Eggs means babies, and babies are the first in Canada ever, and that is what resides up here. And you guys, here they are. The first baby Boega nigriceps in Canada belong to us. Bree did all the hard work. She produced them, hatched them, and they hatched on November 10th of this year. So they just had their first shed about 3 or 4 days ago. And this one actually ended up eating already for the first time. If you guys don't know Boega, you guys probably don't know that they are very challenging to get eating, especially pinkies. Bree actually did it. Slight assist feeding method, so you basically hold them on your hand, kind of hook it in their teeth, and they end up eating it. Even that is very challenging with these guys, and I gotta give props to Bree. She ended up doing it. I'm over the moon. These guys are cool, cool little snakes. At least right now they're little. They don't stay all that little. Typically an adult will get to like 6 feet-ish, but what's nice about them is they are a colubrid, so they do stay kind of long and lanky rather than like massive and girthy. We do have the first baby Boega nigriceps in Canada. That's the last time I say it, I promise. I'm just very excited, and I know Bree is as well. In here we have all of our breeder hognoses. This is Rorschach. He is the male super arctic tiger. He's also het for sable, so very, very cool there. These guys are kind of in the middle of their brumation stage where we are not feeding them, we're kind of clearing them out, and their temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. They will be getting moved into the storage room that you guys have not seen, and they'll be getting their full winter brumation in there. Up top here, we have the grow out Urodactylodes. That includes the Symmetricus, the baby Viardi, and Occidentalis. I'm trying to go quickly here because I'm running out of time in the reptile room with the lights on. If I accidentally missed something, I'm sorry. Like I've said 100 times in this video, stay tuned for the Meet All My Pets. Those will all be shown. In here, we have Miss Rowan. I assume she's under there. Yep, she's doing fantastic, just enjoying the winter chill. Here, of course, we have Equinox. Ah, you're actually out too. That's fantastic. A beautiful Arctic lavender. Otherwise, I believe they're called a moonstone. I could be right. I'm sure Brie will yell at me while I'm editing this. Further down the rack, we have a couple more. We have Syrup in... Oh, no, this is Callista in here. She is a AAA, so she's an Arctic albino anaconda. She's also a purple line, so she's a gorgeous individual. In here we have Syrup. I assume she's in here. She's a normal purple line hognose. We'll be happy to produce some normals next year. That'll be nice. We're doing rapid speed here. Down here we have Lux. This is the male. This was Brie's second Hognose Snake. He's doing fantastic. He's gotten way more spunky in the last little while. Hopefully he does well and produces good for us this year. And finally, I don't even need to open the bin because you guys can see him right here. Here is my very first snake ever. This is Saguaro. He's an Arizona mountain king snake, otherwise known as a Lempropeltis pyromilano woodeneye. I have a special place in my heart for him. He's doing so good. Love them so much. And you guys might be confused why I said they, and that's because I also have a female. Her name is Sedona. You can see her right there. She is doing great. Definitely a passion project for me because these guys are pretty much mature at like 3 years old, but we've been told by several breeders to not produce them until they're about 5 if we want, you know, a healthy female and whatnot. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait the extra several years and make sure they're of age, make sure they're eating well, growing well, and ready to tackle the stress of egg production. I'm not going to actually go through each and every individual hognose we have here. We've pretty much sold all of the individuals that we had available. I think we have like 2 hognoses left to go. I believe this guy actually just sold today, so congratulations to the person that picked him up. I did actually show them last reptile room tour for November, so you guys can always go check that. Or like I've mentioned several times, you guys can wait for later in the month. Totoka, it's 10 minutes till lights out and I haven't shown you yet in the reptile room tour. What will we do? You don't care? Cool. Sweet dude. Like, I've been eating some big. I'm pretty chill. Anyways, yes, Totoka's doing great. He's obviously still here. I almost forgot to show you guys him in the reptile room tour, and I'm sure that would have led to major confusion in the comment section. Also, probably the point that I haven't showed Striker yet will cause some worries. They're both doing good. As you can see, Totoka's here, just nice and fat and happy. He's got a big salad behind him. He had several fig pieces on top that I see he picked out. Thanks for, you know, sharing the love with your greens there, buddy. But yeah, Totoka's enclosure really hasn't changed. It's the same dimensions as the one in the reptile room, 48 by, actually I think it's 28 inches front to back and 48 inches tall. A large enclosure for the Eggman, and we gotta move on because we only have 10 minutes until lights out. And of course, to round things out, we have the gorgeous, cute little geckos called the Mesa Geckos, otherwise known as the Diplodactylus galeatus, however you want to pronounce it. Look at her. Such a chunk man supreme. Hello. Again, I know I need to make a video of like all of our dwarf species of geckos in the room because a lot of them you guys probably don't know of as they're really not well publicized in the hobby. So if you're not like into small geckos, you probably would have never seen these before. But we call them the jelly beans because of exactly what you're about to see. The jelly bean. Oh. Hello, friend. Hello. Look at their beady black eyes, their love for life, their demeanor, their cuteness. Just can't complain about these little dudes. That's one of the babies, and we have kind of an intermediate baby. Is that a thing? I don't know. Chilling at the back. Hi, Trouble. Yes, we got you on camera. Sorry. Now we can rapid fire through these last few snakes. I know everybody really likes to see the beautiful gray banded king snakes that Bree has, so we'll show them off one by one. Scoria is actually going into shed, so I will not disturb her too much. We already showed Sedona. Oh, now she's actually out though. So we'll show her briefly again. Of course, down here we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. StrikeZilla, the OG, the one that started it all. This leopard gecko is literally the reason why I got into reptiles. He is the reason why I've stayed with reptiles for so long, and he's just a constant inspiration and a reminder of the passion that I have for reptiles and the hobby in general. We're still rapid firing these. That's an empty bin. This is Horizon. She is a sunburst hognose snake. She's doing great. In here we have Hawthorne. He is one of Rowan's babies, and he's showing some promising color changes. So we are holding him back. He's also he's always hungry and always kind of like flighty in a sense. He's weird. All right, and after 2 hours of filming, and I'll probably be filming this, the lights will shut off on me. I hope you guys enjoyed the reptile room tour for this month. I know it was probably a little bit more rushed than most of you guys are expecting, but I promise you that will be made up later on this month. There's a lot of content coming at you. I truly hope you guys are ready for a great December. I know I am. Lots of work, lots of YouTube, lots of reptiles. It's gonna be a great month. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, I answer every single comment that you guys leave, so if you want to have a chat with me, that's the place to do so. If you guys are choosing to comment, you might as well click subscribe, and if you're not, well, what the heck, man? Why aren't you clicking subscribe? It's so easy. Just do so. Reptile content, care sheets, build videos. That large dart frog enclosure is going to be a fun video to make. Hope you guys are having a good one. As the lights turn off, I wish you a happy December, and we'll catch you later. Wait, you guys didn't seriously think I wouldn't boop you, right? Later.